than O.J. Simpson, lower than Saddam Hussein. And one day we played one of his CDs in a parking lot on the speakers of our car, and within 30 seconds, dozens of people were around the car dancing and celebrating. It's that duality of opinion that people have about Michael Jackson, this extraordinary, once-in-a-lifetime talent who in so many ways in his public persona was admirable, was somebody who excited you to be alive and to be of the same human race as he was. And then this other part, which you don't really know about. Nobody knows the truth. I don't know the truth. You don't know the truth. Only a few people who are young men now, who were young boys when they made the allegations, know the real truth of who Michael Jackson was. It's a duality in his personality, his persona, his legend, his legacy. That isn't going to be resolved today, and that makes this celebration a somewhat muted celebration. You're right, Brian.
Is this the forgiveness, the power of forgiveness, or is it the power of fame? When we talk about those kind of numbers.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if images will soften those who hold a negative image, those who find all this abhorrent. I don't know if that will soften in time, as kind of has been the American way. So we will have to see. And I don't know if you asked most of the people who showed up here if they choose to remember just the music. To the point Mike Taibbi raised, Lester, it's the Quincy Jones theory that everywhere he goes in the world, around about midnight, if you go past a club, a bar, the music switches over. You're going to hear one of the kind of iconic Michael Jackson classics come out of that place.
And I don't know if you were struck by what I was walking up here. There's a lot of very young people who stood in line to pick up those tickets yesterday, who registered online, who are here, that only remember a certain chapter in Michael Jackson's history. I was visiting my parents here in California yesterday, and my mother points to a cabinet. I open up, and there were my first Jackson 5 albums, the ABC album. And I looked at that, and suddenly, you're overcome by this moment of nostalgia, which again is separate from anything you may feel about Michael Jackson, that he was a part of a lot of our growing up, of being of the same age. And I think a lot of generations, as he continued to create these different chapters, people have identified. So we have to remember a lot of that is at work. This sense of, and I love the line, I've repeated it many times, that what one spectator called the soundtrack of my life. I think a lot of people, that's what brings them here, to celebrate the music and that time in their life.
Another way to put it is that you and I are in the generational sweet spot of this music and the song catalog. Michael Oku is at the cemetery to tell us about what went on there earlier today. Michael? Okay.
Well, there's still not many details, Brian, about what actually happened.
Michael, we're going to go back inside the Staples Center. We've received a cue that the event is starting.
Part of my world, part of the fabric of my life, in a way that I can't seem to find words to express. Michael wanted me to be there for his children, and I will be there if they ever need me. I hope today brings closure for all those who loved him. Thank you, Catherine and Joe, for sharing your son with the world and with me. I send my love and condolences to the Jackson family. Diana Ross. Dear Jackson family, it is with great sadness that we learned of the untimely death of Michael Jackson. Michael became close to us after he started visiting and performing in South Africa regularly. We grew fond of him, and he became a close member of our family. We had great admiration for his talent and that he was able to triumph over tragedy on so many occasions in his life. Michael was a giant and a legend in the music industry, and we mourn with the millions of fans worldwide. We also mourn with his family and his friends over the loss of our dear friend. He will be missed, and memories about him cherished for a very long time. My wife and I, our family, our friends, send you our condolences during this time of mourning. Be strong. Nelson Mandela.
Smokey Robinson with some opening greetings here. We had gone to correspondent Michael Oku, and not knowing that the lights had suddenly come up on Smokey Robinson to read some of the greetings that came in from those who could not attend in person today. Lester, of course, Smokey Robinson, one of the all-time great artists in the music business of the past.
You know, and so many of the people that you will see here today, Michael Jackson would have idolized and borrowed from and was influenced by. Stevie Wonder, who we'll see a bit later. We'll talk about Michael Jackson visiting with him when he was 9 or 10 years old, and how he soaked up everything and asked him, how do you do this, how do you do that, and how he saw that sparkle even then, that this was going to be an incredible talent. So it's an interesting thing that they are honoring him, when I'm sure if the tables were turned, he would want to be a part of honoring many of these people.
Just tuning in, we're not quite sure what this lull is going to lead into. We have heard greetings as expressed and conveyed by Smokey Robinson, and the crowd waits inside the Staples Center now.
You know, Brian, so often, covering any or attending any of kind of funeral memorial, you get a program that lists moment by moment who's speaking and who's singing. We didn't get that.
No.
So we know the participants, but we're kind of with everyone else watching and seeing how this unfolds.
You see the screen, the logo on the screen, that is pretty much a fixed image in the big screens that surround the Staples Center. The LAPD did that on purpose. They did not want people showing up thinking they could watch and listen to the proceedings in this huge several hundred acre complex. So to dissuade them from doing that and to try to get the crowd to disperse, you see the umbrellas against the sun, they have taken any image down but that fixed image outside.
Yeah, the closest spectators can get is a full city block in either direction, so they're not going to see much, especially the arrivals of any of the VIPs. From what I could tell coming in earlier, the crowds were not as intense as it had been anticipated, at least outside. The police, which mobilized this on very short notice under very difficult circumstances, seem to have done an admirable job of controlling the crowd. Folks have been, for the large part, respectful. They waited patiently. They began coming, I think, about 8 o'clock. Many of them lined up outside, but again, it was all very orderly, no rush.
Another aspect of this we should probably address, even though we're just underway, but it may be in the thoughts of people watching. This costs money in a state that is badly suffering for it.
Yeah, you've heard some of the city council members have talked about it. There have even been pleas for Michael Jackson fans to perhaps donate to it. There has been open wishes that the family might want to contribute. We all know about California's budget crisis. All these agencies here are cash strapped. They budget, as the LAPD points out, they budget for extraordinary events, but you never know when the next one's around the corner. So it's a tough time for them, and as I heard one of the city council members talk about earlier,